Season 1, Episode 2 of the STR Street Talk Show. My name is Mark Smith, and welcome along. If you're loving this show, make sure you hit subscribe and like, or even smash that notification bell so that you never miss an episode.
Season 1, Episode 2 of the STR Street Talk Show. I'm your host, Mark Smith. We're joined today by Sue Jordan, Meredith. How do I say your surname, Meredith?
Caligari,
and Jeff Gedge. Our friend Felicity can't make it here today. She's got very, very VIP self-care happening today. Well, by popular request, thank you for tuning in to Season 1, Episode 1. And by popular requests, we've had a number of people come to us and suggest that we talk about some of the basics of getting your listing set up. And our group we're very lucky to have Sue Jordan here, who's the author of a book. You'll have to tell me what it's called, Sue. I'm going to throw it to you now.
Okay, yes, it's Reset Hosted, the ultimate guide to setting term rental. It came from me years ago, just doing tips to a real estate investing group that had all bought investment properties, wanted to put them on the short-term market. What do? I started doing it in our Facebook page. That turned into a book. So, and people to this day still love it. So that's great. The basics are the same. Some things changed in hosting, but not the basics. What we're going to do, we figured today we just begin at the beginning, where you start. That was when I was trying to write my book. Where do I start? Begin at the beginning. So we're going to talk on ideas about setting up. And you may hear floated around in the industry something called your avatar. And it's about hosting for your avatar is really, really important. And it's part of your amenities. If you've got a big home, a big 5-bedroom home, I've got a 5-bedroom home and go, okay, what are we going to do here? We're going to have it family friendly. We've got a pool. So, we might have some king beds that divide into singles, going to have some queens, or maybe have some room, depending on the size of your rooms, we might have the bed, the single bed, the trundle. Don't let a room go to waste where you can put 2 beds in it if you've got a family friendly. Who's going to stay? Like one particular property that comes to mind, we did have a lot of couples stay there. It was near where they had a lot of the triathlons in Mooloolaba. So we had a lot of 5 people stay, but then we also had mum, dad, uncle, auntie, grandparents and things like that stay as well. So think about who you want to host and what amenities they want. So they want plastic knives and forks as well. So I do dog friendly. That's my predominant avatar. So I have a lot of dog friendly things mentioned in my listing, and I have those things. And designated work spaces is important. They're your top amenities. Sorry, Mark. I was trying to lay the scenes. Yes.
Yeah. So just for our listeners, there may be some of these keywords: avatar, dog friendly, family friendly, dedicated workspace. If you want to know a little bit about some of those key terms, some of these keywords, we've got a contact form at the bottom here. And any of these keywords, if you're not getting it or you want a copy of Sue's book, contact us using the contact us form. And again, we also have an instant chat tool on our webpage, B&B Host Support /STR show, where there's an instant chat tool. You can just chat away and ask for these keywords, and we will get your message and pass it on to Sue or the appropriate person. Now, keep in mind, on the Sunshine Coast, we've got Meredith in Tasmania, Jeff in Victoria, myself and Felicity in New South Wales. So we've got many of the typical houses. So if you don't happen to have a house in the Sunshine Coast, or it's a 1-bedroom apartment, never fear. We'll come back to all these basics and cover everything Sue's talking about. Meredith, do you want to jump in and say something?
I think Jeff was before me.
I was just going to say, I think, Sue, you really hit on an important point, and that's thinking about when you set your property up, who is going to be your guest? Who is going to come and stay at your place? So for me, I cater for 2 different groups. My smaller 1-bedroom property caters shamelessly for young couples and also for grey nomads, right? People who are travelling around Australia where the wife has had enough of living out of the camper van or whatever and wants a real bathroom with a real hairdryer. The other property is 3 bedrooms with 2 bathrooms. It was first set up to cater for families, And then it also caters for groups. So it caters for couples. 3 couples go away. It can also have the ability that I can have same-sex people stay. The beds can all split into singles if they want. So it's great for hens weekends. It's great for girls weekends. It's great for the guys to come away and they go and play golf. But it's not just enough to create a property listing and think somebody's going to come stay. It doesn't work like that. You need to target a market, the same as when you go to the supermarket, those product providers target us.
Mm-hmm.
Meredith.
I think these are all excellent points, but in my opinion, the very first thing you need to think about when you've got to set up an Airbnb or you're thinking of doing it is that you need to check with your local council first whether or not you need to register. Some councils have onerous registrations, some are quite simple, but you need to check, especially if you're listing a whole home listing that is separate to your own place of residence. Mark.
Good point, Meredith.
Which brings us, this panel, Jeff and I are both lawyers, and we all cover different areas. So I'm New South Wales. I'm very familiar with the STR rules, the short-term rental rules. Meredith in Tasmania's been pioneering dealing with the world's worst council. I can say that because I'm not a ratepayer there, but maybe I'm certainly not putting words in your mouth. I'm not trying to get you.
And use the council the best in the world, Mark. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I got to say, it's a bit of a competition. Sue might have the world's worst council. I personally have the world's best council. We have no regulations and no rules at all.
Oh, we know how lucky you are, Jeff. Silver spoon in your mouth.
But
yeah.
So obviously,
I personally wish I hosted in Tokyo because they really want Airbnbs in Tokyo. So if anybody's listing from Tokyo, please list.
So again, if you've got local council regulations and you're a brand new host, send us a message down below at bnbhosts.com. Find the link down below. The 4 of us are able to help you with your setup process and walk through all of those. And we get some sponsorship from Airbnb and we can help you with the time that's required. How about we go back to Sue?
Yeah.
Thanks. And
if you don't know the avatar too. Sorry, yep, you come back to me.
Yep.
Yeah, I was going to say, you don't stress if you don't know what your avatar is. Very specifically know that I'm going to do a couple and their dog. Very passionate about traveling the dog with dogs. We travel with dogs. It's our thing. But then if I'm picking up a bigger house than families, but then I've actually worked with properties as well. And they weren't sure what their avatar, but they were very, very luxury homes. Beautiful. The lady is a wealthy investor and she loves to collect antiquities, and she's furnished these homes with these things, and she's actually become very Instagrammable, let's just say. She's on social media and all the wannabes want to go there. She is the place to be seen, and a lot of people do photograph shoots there for like jewelry lines, leisure wear lines, or things like that as well, because that can be really good money these days as well. But I think it's important to put good Wi-Fi in and have a designated workspace. Just before we went live about that, it's one of the most sought after with dogs as well. I'm sorry, guys, if you don't like dogs. One of the most searchable things is the good Wi-Fi designated workspace for people traveling and working. I know I travel and work all the time and I need it. But please, though, if you do have questions about hosting dogs, I don't know if Mark's going to let me put my hand up for that. Find me to me. It is a passion of mine. I do it very, very well. My dog-friendly properties have come into the top 5% in their area, which I'm pretty proud of. But don't do it if you don't like dogs. Because if you don't like dogs or understand dogs, please don't host dogs. It won't work.
Yeah. So if you're watching the show, it doesn't matter if you're in New South Wales and you connect with Sue because you love dogs. Connect with Sue. If you're in Tasmania and you love heritage properties, or you whatever, feel free to reach out to any of us. If you're into sustainability, probably Felicity's your lady. Sue.
Going on again. Then I think about the numbers is the next thing that comes to my mind. So I have been through this with new hosts before, and they might sleep 8 or they might sleep 10. It's appropriate to have a 6-set dining table. Where's everyone going to sit? So you've really got to think about these things, guys. So if you want to host 8 people or host 10 people, then families they want to sit together and they want to have a meal together. I mean, I have had properties that have had 8-seaters and maybe slept 10, but they've always got chairs available to be able to come in to join that large table. So think about how much crockery, cutlery, wine glasses, and things like that you need for the number of guests you're going to host. And think about, this came up yesterday when I went and assessed a property for a lady, and I was actually with my cleaner, and he said, how many towels do I leave them, or do I just leave the linen cupboard open? No. You guess the number of towels that you want to wash. You leave them 3 towels, I'll use 3 towels. You leave them 1 towel, I can only use the 1 towel. That we'll get onto in later episodes, I'd say, guys, about leave per guest per stay, because it can depend on the lengths of stay and the size of your property as well. But you've got to think about who wants to use the property, how many people will be using the. You guys got anything to add on that? And I don't know if I'm allowed to say big pots, because that's what I said before. Meredith didn't love my big pots. If you've got a big family staying, they want to guarantee it. Give them a big pot to put pasta in. Sorry, Mark, back to you, Mr.
Well, my properties, a lot of them are situated in wine districts, so and food and wine. So a lot of our people, we've got 8 chairs, but sometimes not a thing gets used because they're out at the restaurants and wine tasting all weekend. So I guess the message that comes through loud and clear is, if you want to get onto Airbnb and you want to start enjoying some of this rental from short-term rental, then think about who your customer is going to be. A lot of our clients coming to Orange, I've got businesses in Orange and Western Sydney, they're coming for mining. So if they're not there for wine tasting, they may be there for business through the week, and they're miners. So you can cater for more than one market, but you have to think about who's going to pay your bills. Meredith.
I think that's important to think about now, is where you're listing. Are you listing in an apartment building? If you are, how will your guests get into your property? Will they be allowed to access a key safe outside the building, or will you have to find somebody to deliver the key to them? This is a really important part, because I have a lot of people who come to me and say, oh, my apartment building won't allow me to put a key safe anywhere on the outside of the building. How am I going to get my guests their key? Well, this is something that you need to think of before you start. It's very important.
It's one of the first things whenever I see a or someone come through and they've got an apartment. I've just set one up literally in Brisbane City with a lady, and that was our thing. And one of my ideas I gave her is that she has a locked box 24/7 convenience store, just the base of the building basically, and then there's all key safe codes there. Now, it's not a lot of money that she pays to buy, but she rents that little bit of space, key safe, so the guests, when they arrive, it's in their check-in message, they go, they get the thing, they get, because it's not, you can't get into buildings where your tags and your toggles and your swipers and your everything. Keyless is a great way to go, but it's just not always the case. And I was just thinking, Meredith, you and I would have a very similar market in some ways. You get a lot of internationals?
Yes.
And just said before, like internationals in I've got a little granny flat that internationals just love. It's a really affordable way to get around, because they can cook their own food, they can machine there, and I leave them gifts for the internationals as well now, like Tim Tams and a little clip-on koala stuck on the Tim Tam thing, and I just think that's the best.
Why did I know
Little
you'd be leaving a koala? Of course you'd be leaving a koala.
a little koala or a little kangaroo, and they just think
They
that's the
do
best
like it.
thing. And I love
I think one of the things that people often,
Tim Tam. When you get Tim Tams for $2.50, you buy them, lots of them. They've gone up. Sorry, Jeff.
I think one of the things that people also forget about is how are you going to deal with a problem? Okay, so problems never happen between 9 o'clock and 5 o'clock. I can tell you they always happen at 9 p.m. on a Saturday night. And so you've got to think about how you're going to deal with that, because it kind of doesn't work to say, oh, well, I'll come over on Saturday or Sunday afternoon. So are you going to go and deal with the problem yourself? Do you have somebody else around that you can send around if you need to? Always have a plan B on how to deal with these issues, because how you resolve an issue for a guest is probably going to impact what your star rating is when they check out. If it's resolved well,
I agree.
Yeah, backup kids.
Yeah.
And
Mark.
Backup people with, and get your 24-hour trays sorted before you start as well. Have them on speed dial.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, you're exactly right, Jeff. This is a fellow who's got a listing in the top 1%. I had a look at his profile. Have a look and listen when he says you've got to think about these things. We saw something through in one of our community groups that cost one of the hosts like $500 or $600 because the toaster popped a fuse, and I think the host got a 1-star rating because and a $500 bill because the guest couldn't get the fuse to come back on. Did I get the story correct?
Yeah, no, I think that's right. It is. I mean, because what it's called, Mark, is it's called loss of amenity, and Airbnb will automatically, as a minimum, refund a guest 20% of the rate for loss of an amenity. So the more you can do to rectify that problem quickly, the better it is. Yeah, at its most ridiculous. I have driven for 1.5 hours on a Saturday night because a group of guests staying at the property could not get Netflix to work. Okay? May seem like a really minor thing, but it's not a minor thing to them. They've paid to stay there and they wanted to watch a movie on Netflix. This was really important to them. So as inconvenient as an 1.5-hour trip each way was, mind you, they were offering food and drink as soon as I got there because it took me 32 seconds to fix their problem. But that's what you want. You want the guests to remember that you went out of your way to make their stay as good as you possibly could.
Get good at troubleshooting. Sorry, Mark. Get good at troubleshooting over the phone. What we've actually done is we've taken photographs of all the remotes at all properties, and then I hand that over to my hubby Mark, who's more tech than me. So he's actually got a photo of the remote in front of him for TV issues. And when you're saying about things on right, the last 2 public holiday weekends, Saturday, as guests arrive, we've had hot water services.
No, that's the worst.
Did you still get a 5-star rating, Sue? That's the question.
Yeah,
but before you answer, I guess people that decide to be hosts have to understand it. Okay, or they want to put their property on Airbnb, then they're really electing to enter the hospitality space, and you've got to have that mindset that you're now, you're caring for Mary and and Betty, who are staying there and paying $1,000 a night, and yes, they want to see, they want to watch, whatever it is on Netflix, and your job, your job is to keep the toaster running and keep Netflix on.
My next point that I'd like to bring up is the name of your listing. I'm not sure if Sue talked about this before, but the name of your listing and the cover photo that you put on Airbnb will be the most important thing to get a customer to come to you. All the background stuff that we're talking about is also massively important, but choosing a good name, a name that resonates with your guests will be key, because I remember when I first started mine, and I had all sorts of different iterations, and I finally hit on the one that resonated with guests. So try to pick a great catchy name, and you'll do well and have a great
I
profile.
haven't changed my
Yeah, Meredith,
I'm
that's
9
a
years.
brilliant point.
Some of mine. Yeah. It's called pattern interrupt. If you can see a pattern interrupting your area. So if someone's scrolling through and it's bedroom, 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 bedroom. Oh, that's different. Like you've just got a thought pattern in their brain pattern. So when you look at my property, people copy what I do. It's very interesting as soon as I started doing what I do. But they say a picture. So you want to look at that hero shot. Firstly, be a pattern interrupt. Be something. So if you've got lots of bedrooms, be a lounge room, or be a veranda, or be the view, or be someone completely different. If you live in be an amazing bedroom with a great view or whatever. My hero shots for my dog friendly have a dog in it, and it very specifically shows that it's beach and it's funky and it's colour. It is. So it's a pattern interrupt. Firstly, as for people that are traveling with a dog as well, because they see and go, oh, I can take my dog there. Oh my God, I can go to that dog beach. Blah blah blah. So be a pattern to everybody else in the area. Look at what everyone else is doing and be slightly different, and highlight what it is about your property. So if it's about the view, like up in Brisbane City is 33 stories up, it's the view of the city. It's the lounge room with that view. So yeah, show the best property and why someone wants to be there. And some people have winter and summer shots too. I'm going through that with a couple of properties at the moment where we're moving into our winter, where the fireplace is important.
I think Mark's got something
It was
to
important
say.
somewhere else. So yeah, sorry,
Mark,
I'm
what
pointing
was
at
it
his
you
view
wanted
out
to
his
say?
window.
I don't think Sunshine Coast is very well qualified to talk about winter.
No,
That's what I was thinking.
no. Do they actually know what a
Well,
fireplace
it's like
is?
working with someone else.
What, Sue? What was it?
Hey.
Was it like 25 degrees? Were you having to get your jumper out for
Probably
25?
24.
Can
No,
I
I've
say
got a
my
property.
next important
Sunshine
thing is
Coast
house
people
rules?
want fires. They want fires.
My goodness.
Can I say my next important thing is house rules?
Mark had a jump one.
Oh,
Yeah, oh, mine are very long. Very long. If you want.
Go, Meredith.
Meredith,
That could also be.
house rules are pretty important, and I know when a normal person doesn't think about a house rule, but you need to think about what your guests might do in your house when you're not there, and what things you're happy for them to do and what things you're not happy for them to do. So start thinking about those sorts of things what in the early stages of setup. We can give you lists and help you with that, but you should start thinking about it. If there's some dangerous area, you need a house rule for it. If you're going to loan them bikes, you need a house rule for it. If you've got a pool, you need a house rule for it. Everything, it's almost like a disclaimer these days. So think about that.
And if you're hosting a room, are you happy for your male guests to walk around naked? Trust me, it happens more than you would think.
Well, we may be, Sue, right? I don't know about you, Jeff, but we may.
Seriously, I had a new mentee this week, and she had a private room, and the same thing. She goes, I've just had an inquiry, Sue, and the lady wants to know if it's okay if somebody naked and da, da, da. I said, and it's honestly, it's those private roomers, Jeff. They, hey, I know a guy that does very, very well in central Queensland, clothes optional Airbnb host, and he does extremely well because he's clothes optional. Like I do really well because I allow pets. But yeah, my house rules started quite small, and don't worry, you can tweak them and add. Things will come up and you'll add to them.
Mark.
Sorry.
And I know we were talking about icons last week, but who could forget that, I won't name names, but we were shown something from a group of pilots that had a very specific, it was fantastic looking Airbnb. I will throw the link if I can find it. Do you know the one I'm talking about?
Was that the one that had the BDSM room?
Well, yes, I was just about to say. Now that's in Perth. Now that has a very specific avatar, and you can go for it with any type of property. It doesn't have to be dog friendly. It can be whips and chain friendly. I think that's what you were talking about.
Can we get back to the normal stuff, like you need a bank account?
Yes, bank account. But I think you're very well unqualified to talk about sunbaking at 1,000 metres above sea level or in Tasmania, Sue. There, so we've got to cut you off. And but at 1,000 metres above sea level at Orange, we do have house rules about firewood as well. So, look, ladies and gentlemen, if you're feeling slightly overwhelmed, don't. We can help you solve all of these things. So do use the forms below and contact us, and we'll happily.
Yeah, get my checklist for new home.
Yeah. It all
for those of us
together.
out south, that's true. For those of us
It
down
all
south,
comes
Meredith
together.
and I, we probably have house rules that actually tell you how to light the fire. Because I don't want my house burnt
I can
down.
modify. I
Oh,
stayed
in
in the Bunny
Tasmania, we
Mountains.
have reverse cycle aircon.
Yeah. But Mark's saying we're time's up. Yes, we've got to save all these things. There's
All right.
so much to teach these people. We've got episodes and episodes to go.
So, ladies and gentlemen, hit the like and the subscribe button and send us your comments down below. We love your questions. And if you've got more of a private question, use the contact form below and you can hit that to Sue, Felicity, Jeff or myself. And
me.
Oh, yeah, Meredith.
I
And
thought he
Meredith,
said that.
if you speak Japanese or you're looking for the BDSM market, I'd probably recommend Jeff for that. But ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us on season 1, episode 2 of the STR Street Talk Show. Got any questions?
Bye.
Send us a message. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
See you next time.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.